Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on Archive D-Style. Here I'm being joined by the one and only Ashy Knuckles. What's going on, Ashy?
What's going on, D-Style?
This is the one and only one. I saw another dude on YouTube somewhere called Ashy Knuckles, but that's not the one. He has like it's not even a channel or anything. You know what I mean? But that's not Ashy Knuckles. This is the real one.
Yeah.
Right? Right.
Well,
but
I heard there was a DJ named Ashy Knuckles somewhere up north, but he must not be pretty popular. I don't know.
Okay. Well, in the boxing world, there's one Ashy Knuckles.
Yeah, right.
For sure. And make sure you guys throw a jab at that like button as you come in. All right. To throw that jab, and you like the content, subscribe. All right. I'm not just pointing at an ass. I'm saying subscribe, by the way. But with that said, this is your daily reminder that this is Roy Jones Jr. Appreciation Week. We will talk about Roy Jones Jr. at the end of this live stream, and we'll definitely get to that. There was some breaking news today. This was not originally something we were going to talk about, Ashley, but I have to talk about it. Dillian Whyte loses his mandatory. He is no longer the interim champ. What are your overall thoughts about this?
Right now, I'm thinking, was it worth it? You know, all the bullshit that went into trying to have the best edge going into the fight against Oscar Rivas. You know, doing underhanded deeds, or whether it have to do with the drug test or with the glove situation. Was it really worth it? All he did was complain about being avoided and having to sit on his ass and wait for an opportunity to be a mandatory contender for a world title. You know, we all know championship fights are money fights as well as prestige. And he would, you know, just basically blow it, man. It serves him right that the WBC finally would make, you know, a good move, a power move, and one that was fitting, you know, in light of all the bullshit they've been doing leading up to the Oscar Rivas fight. So I'm glad.
Yeah, you know, I'm definitely glad they made the right decision. So I'm right on board with the WBC on this. They're still investigating, right? Which is astonishing to me. I don't know how long it takes to investigate. I mean, it's as clear as it comes. Either you cheated or you didn't. And that's, to me, that's just half of the problem. The other half of the problem to me is the fact that he didn't wear the inspected gloves, right? And not only did he wear unexpected gloves, so who knows? That's all I need to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, Rivas Camp didn't get to see the wrapping, so he already had the gloves on by the time Rivas Camp showed up.
Right.
So now you could say, "Wow, Rivas's camp should have." I mean, I get all that, but still, to me, that's extremely suspicious, right?
Yeah, very, very suspicious. You know, it's only right in terms of fairness between when you got two combatants about to beat the shit out of each other, that the playing field is fair, whether it's drug testing or whatever. That's why you got to weigh in at a certain weight. Everything's got to be fair across the board. As far as they know, who knows, man? The gloves could have been 9 ounces. So they didn't get to inspect it. They didn't get to weigh them. You just never know. And on top of that, they wouldn't even let Oscar Rivas, Team Rivas, bring in a backup pair for the gloves that they had inspected for Team Rivas. And now that's just crazy. I mean, anything can happen to those gloves. They can tear. It's a lot of malfunction that can go wrong. And I'm just like, what would they do? You know, have the other team give them a pair of gloves if something happened to the gloves they had inspected? So it's just been one load of bullshit right after the other. And it's a damn shame, man, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Damn shame. And shame on Dillian Whyte, okay? Shame on his team. Shame on everybody involved over there. What do you think of his excuse saying that an undercard fighter needed gloves, so he gave him his gloves and said, "Oh, don't worry, the unexpected gloves are just fine." That's what they said.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's a load of bullshit. And what was really more disturbing is that the officials wouldn't make him take them off. He was like, where he got the gloves on already and the fight's about to start. That's what I read. I don't know how true the story is. I got that story off a boxing scene. And, you know, I don't want to go too much into that in itself. But if that's the case, then it was rigged from the jump. All Dillian Whyte had to do was just walk it out, you know? And I'm like, if you really, you've been making all this noise about Wilder not wanting to see you in the ring, you know, giving off this air that you hot shit in the ring, that you just got all the hands in the world, that nobody can see you with those hands. But then you trying to fight a guy for an eliminator for a shot to fight for the title, you got to pull out every fucking stop to make sure you have the upper hand to win, instead of using those dangerous hands that you claim you have to just win it fair and square. You know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah, man. Every time I think about it, I get pissed off too, D-Style.
Now, I do want to give a shout out to the chat. We have AJ10. What's going on? The residential fact checker. John was waiting right there saying, what's good? Chief Funky 84. What's good, brothers? What's going on? Rod Neal says D-Style being joined by Ashley. By the way, guys, go vote on the polls. I got a poll up for what is Roy Jones Jr. best knockout. You may have another one, but of the ones I put anyway. And then and my favorite is a Virgil Hill body punch. Yeah, we will definitely get there. And then, of course, you know, the appreciation week. We got Winky Wright, we got Eric Morales, we got Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. All right. And we got, I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Miguel Cotto. So make sure you guys vote. All right. And we're almost there. We're almost at the 80 votes. So make sure we go out there and vote. Let's see here. Out of those four, Ashy, who do you like better?
Hold up. You got Eric Morales, Bernard Hopkins,
Cotto,
Cotto, and who else?
Winky Wright.
Oh man, you mean who I like the best?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough list, bro. That's a tough list. Oh man, can I plead the fifth on that?
Sure, why not? You could only vote on one, but you could plead the fifth. Sure.
I'm gonna have to side with, and he's not necessarily my favorite person, but he's had several careers in one, and that would have to be the Alien, man. Yeah. When I look back at his career, and the dude was like wine, you know what I'm saying? And another guy who was similar to that, but he couldn't quite. He doesn't quite have the feats is in terms of going up weight after weight, challenging the best guys, is Lennox Lewis. That's because he can't go no higher. You know what I'm saying? Because as Lennox got older, he was like wine too. So, but you can't go wrong with either of those fighters. You know, I like them all. You know what I'm saying? Especially Wink, because he wouldn't give him the opportunity until Shane Mosley gave him a shot.
Look. Bernard Hopkins being in his late 40s, and I don't care how anyone rates, let's say, a Travaus clout, right?
Yeah.
It's still a great win, considering the dude was like, you know, grandpa age, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, right.
Grandpa Joaquin is picking up his grandson from middle school age, you know, so,
yeah.
You know, that's crazy. No doubt about that. Dude was boxing guys that could have been his son. I mean, that's
exactly.
You know, it's crazy. So
you know
you
how
guys,
many times I picked against him, D-Style, as he continued to age. I don't know if you remember that when we was on Rough and Dope Radio. It seemed like every time he had a fight,
like he's old now, right?
I would be like, he's gonna lose this time, and he just kept winning.
Yeah,
it's a young man's game, man.
Yeah,
he defied the odds.
And that's why he kind of got the moniker the Alien later on. So make sure you guys go vote on that poll. That's a good reason to vote for Bernard Hopkins, you know. Now I have the expert genius says what's good. And he says White should be stripped of his #1 ranking. He has been. WBC Silver Championship and interim title. I don't care about the Silver Championship, but he has been stripped of the interim title. I don't recognize the silver and all that crap. Forget the B sample. Dynamo, I guess that's what he got tested positive for, is not supposed to be in the system in the first place, according to the WADA code. It shouldn't be. The B sample is more to make sure it's not a false positive or something like that, but it's taking way too long. They took the test at the same time. There's no reason it should take this long. Right. Brandon Dixon says, what's good? New to the channel, welcome. Subscribe if you like the content. Brandon,
hit that like button.
Absolutely. Make sure you throw a jab at that like button. We got 12 likes right now. Let's get a 15 likes ASAP. Dixon says he's got Winky. Well, go vote. Go on the poll. The link's right there. Go vote for Winky. Right. Christian NWO, Bobby Croc, Mr. White is not at fault until it is proven without a shadow of a doubt, and he is less than. No, I don't know about that, man. Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. He'll be on here with me on Thursday. Give a shout out to him. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. The Expert Genius says to Reggie Owens says salute. Batman tweet salute to the chat. Batman tweet back in the house. He was absent for a while. But yeah, it's I think Christian NWO is being sarcastic about that, but he can clarify on that. With that said, we got some fights, man. We got a heavyweight title fight, actually. We got Arreola 38-5 with 1 draw, 33 wins coming by way of knockout. He has been stopped 3 times. One time he retired in the stool. They stopped the fight, rightfully so, when he was getting a beating by Deontay Wilder, and he was also stopped twice by Stavern. He's a 6'3". Both guys are 6'3". They have the same reach. I mean, the same dimensions. They're both orthodox, but Kawnacki is younger. 19-0, 78% knockout ratio. Who do you got in this fight, man, with these 2 big monsters about to battle it out?
Man, let me tell you, if you thought the Thurman versus Pacquiao breakdown was hard to well, that wasn't hard for you. You hit the nail right on the head the first time, but it was hard for me. But this one is another one to me, man. I mean, because their dimensions are very similar, and their styles are similar in some ways. Even though I always say his name wrong, Kawnacki.
Yeah, I actually had to.
The Polish guy.
Practice the name before the show, actually, but yeah, the Polish. You could say that. That works.
The Polish fighter, man. He's a big boy, man. He's been weighing in at like 263, 258, high in the 250s, 260s. And in the ring, he's always coming forward. He's always coming at his opponent. And his body is not, he don't look like a Greek god. You know what I'm saying? He right. When you look at him, you wouldn't think he's the type of fighter that he is. I think we already know him by now. But the thing about it is he moves his hands, man. You don't have to ask that guy to let his hands go. He's more active than most heavyweights in the ring. You know what I'm saying? He's coming at you. He has a good jab. And when he walks in, automatically, the first thing he do when he walks in is put his hands up. He put his hands up and then he throws. He got a very sneaky overhand. You know what I'm saying? And he's been looking good so far, man. Like you said, he's like 19-0, and he's about to fight probably the most experienced fighter that he will have on his ledger, Chris Arreola. And he's another guy. I mean, when I look at Kawnacki and his fight against Gerald Washington, one thing Washington, who actually is built like one of the heavyweights from the 90s and 80s and whatnot, right. In terms of his physique, is his ass wouldn't put his fucking hands up. So the shots that Kawnacki was throwing, they were getting in there. And the killing thing about it is it looked like Gerald Washington saw the punches coming, and instead of putting his hands up, he was just bracing for impact. And, just tensing up ain't going to stop the impact of a punch coming in. I don't know who taught him that shit. But one thing you don't have to tell Chris Arreola to do is put his hands up. I'm not saying he's the hardest guy to hit, but he will at least put his hands up. And on the same token, he's a guy you don't have to ask to let his hands go either. And he has a really good jab, and he has fast hands. And usually when he fights, he usually wins when there's an exchange because of his deceiving hand speed. And I actually think he's a tad bit faster than Kawnacki. Now, Chris Arreola, he's been 12 rounds several times. He's had 3 world title shots. He has all the experience in the world except for winning a big one. So he's got Kawnacki in front of him. It's not like he hasn't been in the ring with somebody as tough as this guy. So I think it's going to be a tough night for Kawnacki. I think he bruises easily, even though in the fights that he's bruising in, he's winning it easily. And I think with Chris Arreola, I think he's going to bust him up real good, man. I think he's going to bust this guy up real good. And I actually am favoring the guy with the experience this time instead of the guy who's gaining all the traction with his recent string of wins. So I think I'm gonna go Chris Arreola on this, man. I think Arreola got it.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw an interview with Chris Arreola where I forgot who did the interview, but I think it was Alice Setback actually. But Arreola was talking about embracing the gatekeeper, right? The gatekeeper status.
Yeah.
And that he's like, I could be the gatekeeper of the division. So it looks like he's embracing the whole, if you're the truth, you'll beat me. If you're not, then I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Kind of. And I think he's embracing that. So I think he knows, okay, maybe I'm not up here. Like I'm here, but this is tough. So anybody, I'm going to put a stop to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So he really wants to be that gatekeeper of that division. And if he gets this win, he's definitely the gatekeeper of the division. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people always say gatekeeper in a very negative kind of way.
Right.
But there is a place for gatekeepers in boxing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now I'm favoring Kawnacki just because of the age, man. Now he is 30 years old, I believe, but Arreola is 38 years old, and he's an old 38. Both guys to me are like mirrors of each other. It's just one is just a younger version. And you're right, he does bruise easy.
Yeah,
but I just think it's going to be enough. I think it's going to be a good fight. At first, I just kind of counted Arreola out, but the more I thought about it, and I was watching some Kawnacki fights. Kawnacki is not that fast, man. Am I the only one that feels that way?
Right.
Like good punch.
He's fast enough. He's fast enough. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. His punches are getting through there, but Arreola is a little bit faster. I think.
Yeah, I think when they're in the pocket there, there's going to be a lot of exchanges. This is going to be an exciting fight.
Yeah,
this is an exciting ass fight. So will Arreola, the gatekeeper of the division, expose Kawnacki, if that's what you want to call it, or Kawnacki, use him as a stepping stone? All Chris Arreola he's not talking about getting another title shot. If you looked at all his interviews, all Chris Arreola is talking about is I'm not going to be a stepping stone. Okay, embracing the whole, being a gatekeeper. Aside from him hinting about fighting Andy Ruiz, but I don't want to see Arreola anywhere near Andy Ruiz. But he'll get his ass beat in that fight. But I think we're on opposite ends here, but I think we both agree it's going to be close and it's going to be a very tough fight.
Yeah, it's going to be explosive, man.
Yeah, I think that the main difference is the age, in my opinion, man.
It's a young man's game. I can't believe I'm going with age this time. I'm breaking code.
Yeah. he couldn't. This is the heavyweight division, man. He cracks him with one good shot.
Yeah. See you later, Bob.
Yeah, 38 wins, 33 wins by way of knockout, Arreola. You know what I mean? So
but check this out. If Kawnacki wins, he set himself up for a potential title shot with any other. Well, it's only two champions now, right?
Yeah. So maybe more later, but yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Like you said, it's the heavyweight division, man. Flip of a coin, man. Anybody over 200 pounds got the ability to disconnect somebody in the square circle. So, man, I can't wait, man. I'm not taking my eyes off the TV for that one.
Definitely. Batman tweet says, Arreola is a dog. You got to stop him. Absolutely. He ain't going to stop coming. Boxing Dialogue experience goes a long way in the heavyweight division. It does. In any division, really, but in heavyweight especially, where that one punch can make a difference. You have less room for error in heavyweight. There's no doubt about that. Brian David says, I'm here. Smash that like button. And what's up? What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Absolutely. Joe Lopez, 40 ounce. Arreola is an old 38. It doesn't look like Arreola takes care of himself. Arreola probably eats pizza and drinks beer during camp. I don't know, man.
He did that in his prime.
Yeah. You would remember, man. I never forget, man, when Ramirez openly talked about like trying to get this guy out to work out.
Right.
But he wanted to eat pizzas and drink Coronas. His own words.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Another fight, man. Marcus Brown, Jim Pascal, light heavyweight division. Marcus Brown is 23-0. With 16 knockouts with a 70% ratio. Jean Pascal 33-6 with one draw, 20 KOs to his credit. taking a lot of L's recently and a lot of punishment, in my opinion. Just lost to Bivol not that long ago, coming off that loss. How do you see this fight, man?
You know what? This is another intriguing fight. You know what? This whole card just screams passing of the torch. If you really think about it, youth versus experience, and this fight here is the same. You know, Marcus Brown, undefeated light heavyweight. He's a southpaw, right? Yeah, southpaw.
Yes.
He's a southpaw fighter. Good jab, got good dimensions. He's tall enough. He mixes his shots up. He tried to utilize the whole ring. You know what I'm saying? He's rather inexperienced, but he has enough experience. You know, he's getting it as he goes, and he's actually been in there with some young guys who are also on the rise too. I can't I can't think of his name.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a hard name.
Yeah, he was a pretty game fighter in that fight with Marcus Brown, but he just got stopped by Beterbiev, I think, who was one of the champions in the division. But in the fight with Pascal is not what he used to be. Obviously, he's still tough. He's still willing to fight anybody. But you know, just like Arreola, he's on the bad side of 35. Oh, he's 36 years old, but he hasn't had a string of wins in quite some time. I think maybe he'll win a couple, then he'll lose one, then win a couple, lose one. I haven't checked his record recently, but I do remember the way Pascal fights. And Pascal, if you remember, I used to say these guys come from the Roy Jones School of Boxing. And funny I mentioned Roy Jones. He's a fighter of appreciation this week. But everybody's not Roy Jones. And I'm a fundamental guy. And you give a guy an opportunity to crack you in your head because you can't keep your damn hands up. You're only asking to get beat. And I think in this fight, it won't necessarily take a guy who has that metal, you know, or that toughness in him to beat Pascal. All it takes is a good shot from this guy. And I think Brown proved that he's a tough guy too, you know, with his fights with the prospect and with Badu Jack.
Yes.
So I think Marcus Brown is going to do what he got to do to win the fight. I think he'll outbox him easily. He's younger, he's fresher, and I think Pascal is a shell of what he used to be. And I think I don't know if this will be enough where I can boldly say that this guy is the future of the division. This division is stacked with talent. Hell, Russia got it on lock. You know, Kovalev kicked the door open for the Eastern Europe, and now they're beating the shit out of everybody. You know, they're good fighters, and they got knock you dead power. But you do have some young talent in this division too, with Jesse Hart and that guy Zurdo that came from super middleweight, the Gilberto Ramirez. Zurdo, he's up here too. You know, this division can get real hot real fast, man. But I think Marcus Brown should be able to take this old guy to school and show him a thing or two. You know what I'm saying? Youth is going to beat the experience in this fight, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I just Jim Pascal's like an ambush fighter, you know, and that takes so much athletic ability, and you have to have really good reflexes. And Pascal's been declining to me, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And even in his prime, he would like gas out in the second half of the fight. That's one of the reasons he could like even when he was like beating Hopkins just waited out, and then he would beat him in the second half of the fight. Right. So, and now at an older age, it's just not a good sign for Pascal, man. So I do believe Brown wins this. Might even stop Jean Pascal late. I think he stops him late. And I think Pascal needs to call it a day, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
either that or step down in competition, one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, fighting out of Montreal, he's made a lot of money. I don't know if he was been reckless with his money or anything like that, but that spot in Canada that him and Lucien Bute have, I mean, they turned that thing into a gold mine during their career. I mean, the Canadian fans always came out for these guys, both of them, in fact. So I don't even know why he's still doing it. But you know what? It's just like all all the champions of old, man. They never know when it's time to pack it in. I think like only Lennox Lewis and maybe Joe Calzaghe are the only ones that just retired on top. You know what I'm saying?
Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, oh yeah, Finito, Lopez. You know,
Lopez,
of course we got a few more, but more Mayweather, even Mayweather, but more tend to stick around longer than they need to, and this will be no exception.
Yeah, man. I don't know if Jeff Pascal gets stopped here, he needs to call it a day. In my opinion, which kind of brings me to this next thing. You know, the long-term effects of boxing, man. When fighters fight too long, you know, with this pugilistic dementia out there, you know, it's kind of hard as a fan to tell fighter, okay, stop. It's their decision.
Right.
You know what I mean, but you know, I still feel like I'm not telling Pascal he needs to retire. I'm just saying I would like him to retire. I think there's a little bit of a difference, but you know, commissions do kind of step up sometimes, but since we have so many states, we have like 50 states, and Indian reservations can make their own decisions, and different countries can make decisions. And how do we stop fighters from fighting too long, man? Other than just telling them to stop? Like I don't.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head, man. It's 50 states, all these various state athletic commissions. Somebody will give them a license, and if that doesn't work, they can always go overseas. You hit the nail right on the head. I think the only way to make sure that these guys retire is back what Bernard Hopkins said years ago, is that the ring is going to retire their ass. It's going to take some fighter to beat the brakes off of them to make them not want to get back in there no more. And it's unfortunate, but that's our sport, man. That's the way it happens. So, and yeah, the long-term effects from the sport is no joke. I mean, rest in peace to the great Pernell Whitaker who just passed, but we're talking about a guy who didn't get hit often, and even he had some delay in his speech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tommy Hearns delaying his speech. Holyfield starting to sound a little bit more normal, but he was on the slide a minute ago too with this speech. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And more so than just the speech. Look at fucking Kovalev. Look at Kovalev, man. I don't know if that's due to boxing or him just being a class A dumbass. You know what I'm saying? With the shit that he did on the airplane, or, you know, just his recent string of trouble.
I heard about, can you tell me what happened? What happened in the airplane?
Well, supposedly he was sexually harassing a woman on the plane, even offering money, to the point where they had to kick his ass off the airline. Wow. And I was hearing he had a previous case from breaking in somebody's house. I really don't know the backdrop of it all, but it doesn't sound like any champion that I know of from the past doing dumb shit like that. So I would have to just charge it to, you know, effects from boxing. Not that I want to outlaw the sport in any way, but look at Jermaine Taylor. I
was about to mention him.
Yeah. You can go. Yeah, you could talk about that. I won't.
Well, I was just gonna mention it. Like I was gonna ask you, like even Jermaine Taylor's situation.
Yeah, man. He was a middleweight champion of the world. Had the world on his shoulder. He knocked off Hop. You know what I'm saying? He knocked off Hop damn near at the peak of his career. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, after those string of knockout losses, it seemed like he just declined, man, and started doing dumb shit and ended up getting himself in jail. I think he shot his cousin, some other crazy shit. Yeah. And I'm just like, what is going on with these fighters, man? So maybe we need that guy who founded CTE to come do a study on some fighters, bro, instead of just football.
Yeah, the question is, what effects would that have on the sport? You know, because you know it's weird because I see some other fighters, man, that I don't see any, you know,
visible effects.
Now we don't know how they're suffering or not, but you know, it's just strange to me. You know, I mean, sometimes it's just that one fight. Like Jermaine Taylor, man, I think that first Pavlik fight, I remember like his chest area was like his pec muscle was like, I don't know what, like contracting or some shit like that.
Like nerves. The nerve.
Yeah, and the way he just like dropped down, like he wasn't knocked out, and I guess he just fell. He like slowly like just sat down and like was just like out.
Yeah.
That looked brutal to me. And then the other brutal one, well, they
Right.
were all brutal. The Frotch one was really brutal.
Yeah. He was winning that fight.
He was winning that fight handily.
That's what made me like Frotch after that fight, because
Yeah.
that's why he was a tough guy, man. But I'm not here to talk about Frotch, man. But like you said, man, all of his stoppage losses have been brutal, bro.
I think that's why a lot of fighters just call it quits real soon now. Look at Frotch, just suddenly retired. I'm out.
Yeah.
He never came back. Ward, peace.
Right.
He's gone. And a lot of fight fans, we catch these guys and they're already like 20 fights in sometimes. You know what I mean? Or 30 fights in.
Exactly.
And we watched the tail end of their career, like when they finally became champion, defended it a couple times, had some rivalries, and then peace out. To us, it feels like we only had them like for 5 years, but they had including their amateur career, like a 20+ year career already.
Right.
Some of them 30 years. But I think it does explain why a lot of these fighters call it quits, man. Timothy Bradley was not well after that Ruslan fight. And he recently talked about that, and he even said he went with his doctor, and they told him, "You got maybe 2 fights, and you gotta call it quits." You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think these fighters, man, it's also to a certain degree their responsibility to go see doctors, get their brain scanned, and stuff like that.
True that. Yeah. I'm actually worried about Pacquiao a little bit too, man. I mean, even though he has like one of the most impressive resumes I've ever seen in at least in my time, and arguably one of the best resumes in the history of sport. He's definitely going to go down as a great. Yeah. But in a lot of those great victories, he took some shots in the motherfucking fights. You know what I'm saying? And he beat Cotto handily, but Cotto didn't not lump him up. And Cotto touched him. You know what I'm saying? The fights with Marquez touched him. Morales touched him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of fights he was in, he got hit. Now, he was never just, didn't get the shit beat out of him, but he took some shots, man, against substantially bigger guys, man. And in this fight with Thurman, he took some bombs too, but he prevailed. Way Pacquiao always prevails, but he's an older man now too. So I don't know, man. I don't know why he continues to do it.
I just think they love to do it. That's my only explanation. Like they want to fight. You know what I mean? But that's interesting, man. Now, the other thing is gym wars. I think the culture of gym wars probably has to go away. I think most of it has, but a lot of these sparring sessions, I don't think have to be as brutal. You know what I mean? Because that catches up to you too. And with the headgear, it doesn't necessarily make it safer. You just take more damage. Yeah. So
headgear don't stop too much punishment. You still feel them shots.
Yeah, like I mean, look at James Toney, dude.
Yeah,
James, I could barely understand James Toney.
Master. Check that shit out. A defensive master.
Yeah.
You
think him was the whole moving up to heavyweight? You think they kind of, because he took big shots from Sam Peter and guys like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did. It probably was a culmination. He got hit. He's fought a lot of tough guys. Even when you go back to when he was at 160, he didn't just dominate Michael Nunn. He battled through and got him out of there late. Michael Nunn was a great fighter. Yeah. Even when he fought Reggie Johnson, James Toney, when he fought Reggie Johnson, who's from Houston, he was a great champion too. He always gets overlooked, but Reggie Johnson put him on his ass. You know what I'm saying? And he battled through that. So. The fights with Jirov, Jirov he was heavy-handed at cruiserweight, so it could be a variety of fights.
That was a great fight, by the way. Holy shit!
Oh man, it was. It really was. He's one of my favorites, man, Tony.
Yeah, man. I want to ask you. Well, we're going to get to that right now, but this one I want to ask you about James Toney right now. But as far as this goes, man, I think I mean, it's a dangerous sport, and I think there's only so much we can do because sometimes it's not even the long. Sometimes it's just one fight. I mean, look at Maldrick Taylor.
Yeah, man.
Like that was to me that Chavez fight.
Yeah, that was the big turning point. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
All the
because
take is one fight.
I won't argue with anybody on the 10-point must system. Taylor was winning that fight, right? But he was taking some monster body shots.
Yeah, he had to go through something. He had to go
Yeah.
through that night. And you know, Chavez, Chavez was just mowing through guys too. You know what I'm saying? Mowing through them. So I can only imagine the hell he walked through. It's really a shame that he didn't get that victory, but at the end of the day, you know, whether you got a W or an L doesn't take the fact that you were probably pissing blood after that fight. You know what I'm saying? The effects from the fight didn't matter if you took a L or a W. You still had to endure that beating, that physical punishment from Chavez. So it's a brutal sport, man. It's nothing to play with. You don't play boxing. We all know that. So
That's true. Calinima says James Toney set the weight cut from 210 when he played football to 154, drained fluid from his brain. I mean, that could play a role. By the way, shout out to Haplotype. It says good birthday present for him here. He's happy birthday to you. We got Boxing Dialogue in the house. AJ10, boxers don't mind fight night. They don't like the recovery after fights and sometimes brutal training camps. I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of good examples of that. Chris M, I'm sorry. And yes, G-Funk, Maldrick Taylor is pretty bad. Chris M, James Toney, good defensive fighter, but used to get hit more than people like to remember. His feet seemed like it was cement in a lot of his fights. He was an inside. He liked to fight on the inside.
That's it. I mean? He can make you miss by standing right in front of you. That's what endured him to hardcore fight fans. Yeah. Very skillful, you know. Great counter.
Really good with the shoulder roll and everything. Maldrick Taylor, gym wars in Philly, and tough ass fights, losses in 91, 92. Yeah, I can see that as well. AJ10, it's hard to hear Tommy Hearns. I have not heard Tommy Hearns talk.
Oh my God, man. Oh shit, the most recent one is Riddick Bowe. I saw a video with him and Regis Prograis, and he was kind of just playing with them and stuff like that in the gym. Yeah. He's terrible, man. He sounds bad, bro. I mean, he looks like he's in great spirit. I mean, he's, you know, telling jokes and stuff like that, but I could barely make out what the hell he was saying. So,
well, Kelly Lima says he spoke to Leo Santa Cruz. He's starting to slur his speech, and Brandon Rios is damn near there. Wow. You know, speech pattern is one of the quickest things you notice. Maybe when they do physicals on his, maybe they already do, but they should have him read like long sentences, or I don't know. Like, I wouldn't know the process behind that, but that's probably something they should do, you know?
Yeah.
G-Funky 84, Terry Norris, hard to understand when he speaks stand. This is depressing me. But anyway, there's a lot. But then there's fights like Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sharp as a tack.
Yeah, like what Chavez sounds fine, which is amazing to me.
And he took a lot of shots too. He's just built of titanium, man.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't. I saw De La Hoya, who was a lot bigger than him, hit him with some big left hooks. He didn't go anywhere. I couldn't believe it. You know, but yeah. I mean, Sweet Pea hit him with everything but the kitchen sink, and he was still standing at the end of the fight, you know. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, Sweet Pea was a little underrated with the punching. A lot of people talk like he was feather-fisted. He wasn't. Put away a lot of guys. But with that, this is Roy Jones Jr. Appreciation Week. Okay, Callie says, I think some of it is genetics. I mean, it could be. I really don't know, right? Because, like, I could see that there's Mexican fighters that stir, there's those that don't. There's black fighters that stir, those that don't. There's white fighters that stir, those that don't. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to maybe specific family like genetics. I don't have no idea. Okay. Gym Wars was a quick way to get there. Yeah. And I think that culture does need to change a little bit because, yeah, that's a quick way to get there. But this is Roy Jones Jr. Appreciation Week, bro. All right. I mean, and first of all, I have a poll up. What is your favorite knockout okay, of Roy Jones Jr. have the Jorge Vaca, which is actually a really good left hook. Okay, that's some. Okay, the Malinga knockout getting no love, no votes. Probably is the weakest one on the list, but Glenn Kelly, I like that one because he had his hands down. I know you were talking about the Roy School, Roy Jones School of Boxing,
Yeah.
but he got away with it. You know, Virgil Hill, 60% of the votes right now.
That
The
was the
body
one.
shot.
Yeah, man.
You know, I actually heard him talk about it in the song first, and then I had to go look it up. You know, I must have forgot all those years ago.
He sure did say that. I forgot
Yeah,
about Roy the rapper.
when I caught Virgil Hill with the body shot, I gotta
Yeah.
check the shit out. Like back in the day, you know, like when YouTube first came out, because there was no, remember before YouTube, like, how do you find shit? You know what I
Right.
mean? Unless
Right.
somebody had a tape or you had to record it somewhere. When YouTube came out, immediately I looked that shit up because I did not watch that fight live. And then the Serrano fight, you know, but Virgil Hill, hell of a body shot. I mean, that sounds. I think I read somebody put it sounded like a gunshot. You know,
It did. It did have an impact. And he went down, boy. He went down grimacing like a motherfucker. So
yeah.
I mean, that's Virgil Hill too. It ain't like he wasn't no slouch. He was like a 4 or 5 time world champion in 2 weights, light heavyweight and cruiser. So I mean, he was silver medal. He had a good career, man. He had a good career, Virgil
You know
Hill.
the best part. I rewatched it earlier, and I would play it if it wasn't for copyright shit. But uh, it's. I'm laughing, but Virgil Hill goes to the body, landed like 3 body shots. I think like 2 landed, and you could hear his corner. There you go, there you go. Then bam, Roy hits him with the body shot. He goes down. I mean, it was just man, that was something. That when trainers are saying like getting pumped up and then the guy goes down, it's just funny, you know what I mean? But what are some of your if we start kind of, you know, any time in his career, well, what are some of your favorite Roy Jones Jr. moments, Ash?
Oh man, well, it's quite a bit, man. Even when he was on the slide, I like that fight he had with Tito when they both were past it. That was an entertaining fight. That was the first time I ever seen Roy Jones walk somebody down. Instead of using his movement and his reflexes, he had his guard up and start trying to big boy Tito up in there. You know what I'm saying? So that was a different wrinkle in his cap that he brought out late. You know, even though he was, like I said, they were both past it. One, I could start when he fought Bernard Hopkins for his first world title. That was a title James Toney vacated when James Toney went up in weight and fought Barkley. I think he fought Iran Barkley. And when I think about the middleweight division at that time, you know, everybody was really coming to their own. You know, G-Man, I think Reggie Johnson, I think he got his second title shot. Roy had just, you know, was fighting Hopkins. Hopkins was still in the top 5 of the division. And I think not too far away, you had John David Jackson creeping on the come up. Now, can you imagine if there was a round robin back then at that weight?
Man,
Unification, because they weren't unifying around that time, around the early, you know, the 90s, 93, 94, around that middleweight. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And I think consensus was either it was Reggie Johnson or the G-Man as the best fighter in the world. And Reggie Johnson, he gave Tony the good fight. So more people thought probably it was him as the best at middleweight. But, you know, then he would, of course, Tony not liking the shine Roy Jones was getting, and he wanted to fight Roy, and Roy went up in weight and fought him. And at that time, they were like 1, 2, and 3. You had Whitaker as pound for pound number 1, Tony pound for pound number 2, Roy pound for pound number 3. And I wish the fight would have been a lot more memorable. But as far as resume, who would have? I mean, could you possibly predict that you would fight 2 all-time greats in their prime? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure he didn't know that those guys would go on to be who they were, who they became. Well, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty impressive for me. You know, even though
At middleweight, that I know we talked about him. You talked about him earlier, right? That B Hop win, it aged well. That win aged well. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Indeed. Hop was amazing, man. I think he gave Glenn Johnson his first loss. Glenn Johnson ended up knocking out Roy Jones
Later on, yeah.
later on. Yeah, man. Hop, yeah. And Hop was good then. You know, he was in tip-top shape. He was defensive then. It ain't like Roy just beat the brakes off of him. Hopkins couldn't hit him. So Roy basically was just outpointing him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was using those superior hand speed and reflexes and God-given abilities, and he just outclassed Hopkins. And he pretty much did the same thing to Tony, too. He outclassed him. Ain't like he just beat the brakes off of Tony, but he got these W's over those guys. You know what I'm saying? And I think he gave Tony his first loss, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So
Tony was this was James was 44-0 with 2 draws. 2 undefeated in their prime fighters. I mean, that's what this was. It's a big fight.
That was a big fight. That was big. That was big for Roy. I think after that is when he basically, the star that is Roy, began to start shining, you know?
Right.
So, but the biggest thing for me, and I don't want to take up too much time on this, is one of the most overlooked feats that he accomplished, and that's going up 2 weights, going up 25 pounds and knocking off John Ruiz for a portion of the heavyweight title. Can y'all hear me, man? Am I echoing?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think people overlook that. You know, every time there's a fighter right now in today's current boxing, anytime you see me do a video, anytime anybody see me do a video, and a fighter is going up 2 weights, I don't give a damn who it is. I always pick against them. You know what I'm saying? Because history has shown that it's just not favorable when you jump 2 divisions. But he did it. He jumped cruiserweight and went straight to heavyweight, weighed in at 199 or 200 pounds.
Yeah, something like that.
Ruiz. Ain't like Ruiz was Lennox, but Ruiz fought the who's who of the heavyweight division. You know, he didn't fight Bird and he didn't fight Lennox Lewis, but he fought a lot of good guys and beat a lot of good guys too, you know, and lost to some good guys too. So
I think he beat Rockman right after that.
Yeah, he beat Rockman. Yeah.
Right after the Roy Jones loss. You know, if I remember correctly. But as far as that fight, I'll never forget the build up to that fight. At all. Didn't Roy Jones, his trainer, knock out Ruiz's trainer?
I know he hit him. I don't know if he put him on his ass. He probably did though. I don't remember if he dropped him, but I know he definitely took flight though. I know he stole him.
Yeah.
You know, but I also remember John Ruiz coming to the press conference in a pimp outfit saying he's gonna be chasing this hoe around the ring. You remember that? With the feather in the cap?
Oh wow. I think I do remember that.
Yeah, man. That shit was funny, man.
I don't know, man. Roy was right in front of him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right in front of him, just 2-piecing him. It was number 1, 2s all night. Boom, boom.
I just remember like some of my older cousins at the time who were big boxing fans saying, like, Roy's a better fighter, but once Ruiz catches him with a clean shot, it's over, right?
Yeah.
That was the, and he did catch him with a few clean shots, and he didn't go anywhere.
He almost put him down. It looked like he was leaning over, then he kind of got back up. You know what I'm saying?
Because they traded hooks early on. I forget what round it was, and like it looked like you could tell the difference.
Oh, big time.
And at that point, I think Roy was like, "Okay, I got to be a little careful.
Yeah,
I can't get carried away here." But do you put a lot of stock in that being the beginning of the end for him, as far as the going up in weight, going back down to 175 after gaining all that muscle?
I do, because it wasn't a healthy weight loss when he went back down to fight Tarver. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell at the weigh-in for the first fight, he looked like his body had been sunken in. You know, and it showed on fight night. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Roy was not Roy. He could not move. He couldn't get out of the way. All he could do was retreat to the rope, and that's where Tarver started having a lot of success against him, beating him up all against the rope, and he managed to get a win. He should have retired after that. But him being Roy, Roy being Roy, he gave him the rematch. In the rematch, he looked a whole lot more healthier at the weigh-in. But Tarver would land that money punch that came out of nowhere, and that gave birth to his career. So,
Right.
yeah, but I put a lot of credence in the fact that you can't just keep doing, especially later in your career, you can't just go up 25 pounds in fight weight and then go and drop right back down 25 pounds and fight the best in your division and think you're going to look good late in your career. No, that was the beginning of the end. Because a prime Roy Jones stumps Antonio Tarver and Glenn Jones easily.
Definitely.
So,
well, a lot of people will say, nah, it's not true. It's an excuse. But I mean, if you look at it, I mean, he did have a fight with a heavyweight. He did gain a lot of muscle for that fight.
right.
And people need to understand he gained the muscle. It's not like he got fat and went, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he had to lose that muscle. And I just,
right.
I think I think that had an effect. I honestly do. Obviously, age is a factor and getting past his prime, but I think that's had a negative effect to me, and I will always believe that. You think he should like? A lot of people talk about him staying at heavyweight.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like I think Ruiz was like the perfect matchup for him at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Because Ruiz, I mean, he's still a heavyweight. Like his punches still hurt. Obviously, they can still knock you out, right?
Without question, yeah.
But he wasn't like a monster puncher in the division compared to some other guys, right? Like there was talks about Roy Jones, Mike Tyson.
I remember if you go back to like the late 90s, he was trying to fight Douglas, wasn't it? Buster Douglas. He was talking about fighting Buster Douglas, but he ended up not taking that fight.
Roy Jones.
And I also heard about fighting Lennox Lewis if they pay him $100 million, but they weren't trying to pay him $100 million. I don't know if that was just Roy just talking shit. There were talks about it.
That's a way
the
of
move to heavyweight was coming. Yeah,
I don't see him fighting Lennox, but
not at all. And I don't think he saw it either. I think it was just bullshit.
Buster Douglas. I don't know. Yeah. Well, maybe Douglas was past it, right? I mean,
yeah, he wouldn't what he used to be,
Right.
I mean, what really was he? He had a great night,
Yeah.
And didn't he fight Evander Holyfield and get his ass tore out the frame?
After the Tyson fight, did they fight again?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He fought Holyfield, I believe, and got his ass destroyed. Wow. Haplotype note. Let me know if I'm bone from bullshit.
Well, we got AJ 10 here. We got the fact checker of the show. Roy Jones won the WBA in March of 2003. Lennox Lewis and Vitali fought June 2003 for the IBF and WBC. That would have been something else, but Roy, I think it was just a perfect storm. It was that perfect opponent at that weight class for him. There was talks like, who do you think would have won? Like, I know Tyson was past it at that time.
Yeah.
And Tyson was just coming off the beating he took from Lewis, right? So, but who do you think would have won that fight? I think Tyson would have beat him.
Oh, indeed, man. Indeed, man. Hell, I was picking. I believe I picked Ruiz to beat him.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I chose Ruiz to win. I just didn't see it, Yeah, I mean, I can admit it. You know what I'm saying? And I was a Roy Jones fan, but that was a lot to chew on, I don't pick against anybody who's going up in weight like that, man. You're not supernatural, you're not a cyborg, you're a man. There's two men in there, and the good big man, is supposed to beat that good little man. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, in boxing, I mean, it's just when it doesn't happen like that, it's great. It's definitely a great feat to add, to your resume. But how often does it happen? Not often at all. So.
Okay.
But I think he could have fought a heavyweight. He could have fought like Layman Brewster or Chris Bird. Fresa Kendo, those type of guys. But I don't see him in there with. I seen Rockman. I didn't see him in there with Lennox
Yeah.
or maybe even a Galata. He probably would have fouled his way out. So
Yeah. Roy would have frustrated him so much, bro. He would have had
yeah,
scrambled
he would have hit
eggs.
him low.
There is a lot of talk. Like it's to me, I agree with you 100%. He should have beaten Ruiz and then called it a day. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
Right off into the sunset. There was another fight, man, that was talked about. I know it happened later, and you mentioned it, the Trinidad fight.
yeah.
Do you remember when Trinidad was like on a tear at 147 and 154,
Yes.
and then he man, did he destroy Will and Joppy? I did not see that coming.
I didn't either. I picked against that. Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, bro! And people do not understand. Like I know, like a lot of new fans go to BoxRec nowadays, and they look at Hopkins beating Trinidad, and they're like, oh, he beat a career welterweight, big deal, right?
Right.
No, you guys need to understand what this guy did to Will and Joppy.
Right.
Okay.
Trinidad was mowing through guys. Yeah, man.
And you need to understand that he was looking more powerful middleweight than he did at welterweight.
Right.
Like the power went up. Hopkins was an underdog in that fight. People don't remember that.
Yeah. By that time, I think I didn't choose Hopkins to beat Tito. I think I was on a Tito train by then. Totally.
Yeah, a lot of people come out now. I had Hopkins, but it's like the Douglas thing. I had Douglas beating Tyson. Oh, okay, but
Hopkins fought so many different ways in the ring, and he didn't have that knock you dead power like Tito had. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I was really appreciating the skills that Hopkins had at that time because he fought so many ways. He'd be fighting guys dirty. Be hitting them in the hip, just dirty. That's the way he did Keith Holmes when he unified.
Well, he admitted to it. He when if their backs are and the refs over here, he would just hit them on the hip.
Right.
The dude admitted to all that. Like he was like the dirtiest player in the game and proud of it. Yeah. But it's what if you didn't get caught that was his whole.
That's right. If they don't see it, it ain't a foul.
Right. But Tito versus Roy Jones, dude, was like. It was talked about, and I never understood it.
Right.
I was like, this dude's like like Roy's at 175, destroying guys.
Right.
And this dude just, in my opinion, got outboxed by De La Hoya, right? But nonetheless, they were still talking about it, and when he knocked out,
Tito talking about it. Tito was the one that said, "I want to go all the way up to Roy Jones." I think that's when they did just beat what's the guy name? Mamadou or Tayam? The guy at 54? I think it's right when he went up to 54 is when they were started talking about going all the way up to fight Roy.
Well, he had that Vargas win, and then he destroyed Willem Joppy. Yeah. And I think a lot of people were believing it at that point. Like, this guy's gonna end up fighting Roy Jones.
I don't know. I still didn't see that. I didn't see him going. I thought it was just talk.
Okay.
I did not foresee him ever going all the way up there. I know he wanted to, and I remember his dad talking about it, with the translators or whatnot. But I just thought it was just like, how back in the game, I don't know if you remember this, when Floyd was talking about going up to fight Trinidad, when Floyd was at 135. This is back when BoxingTalk.com was a hot website. BoxingTalk.com?
Yeah.
Floyd was getting the interview, and he was like, if Tito start popping stuff with me at 54, then I'm gonna go to 54 and I'm gonna fight Tito. But that was back when he was pretty boy Floyd. It was believable back then.
Yeah.
But it would have been suicidal.
Yeah.
But look, that's just the mentality, man, I guess.
Well, let me put it this way, right? If Trinidad would have beaten Hopkins, hypothetically,
wow.
I mean, you have to think. Obviously, Hopkins beat him, but if he was good enough to beat Hopkins, right, they would have to have made that fight, and I think they would have made it a catchweight or something. And I think Roy would be crazy enough to do it. Like 170, 168. I don't know. They would
I
have
think
a
they fought at 68 later. When they finally fought, I think it was at 68.
Was it?
It was
Okay.
at yeah, I think so. I think it was that. And Tito didn't, even though I think on BoxRec, if you look it up, I think if you look it up, it says Tito. They both weighed in at 168 pounds. Let me look it up.
We got a fact checker. AJ will get it.
But I remember Tito missed weight for that fight by like a half a pound, and Roy let him keep the pound without having to go sweat it off.
Yeah.
But they got it listed at if I'm not mistaken, they got it listed at that they both made the weight, but Tito never made that weight.
Okay.
And I think it was at 68. It was at a catch weight. I don't think Tito ever really made it all the way up to 75.
Boxing Dog Pud, you ever hear about Roy's relationship with his dad? Pretty crazy. I mean, I don't get into all that type of stuff, but didn't Roy, like, he had issues with his dad or something? But like, I don't talk about that stuff. It was at 170, the catch weight, 170 pounds.
Oh, that's right, 70.
But I mean,
I think even still, I don't recall Tito making that weight. I think he was off weight though. I'm gonna have to go back and
I think Roy was like, it's okay. I want my payday.
Yeah, he's like, you can keep that weight. So. Yeah. Tito didn't. He missed weight. He didn't land right on the money, because I remember watching that weigh-in, and Roy got on the mic and started saying, "I ain't worried about that weight. You keep the weight." And he just started doing, talking like he talked.
Right. Yeah, it was.
I don't know why.
What is that?
I said I don't even know why I even brought that up. Not even important.
Now, the last thing I wanted to ask you about the Montel Griffin loss. What are your thoughts about that? Like, what you think it was a legitimate, reason to? He was on a knee, I guess.
DQ him?
Yeah,
he was on a knee, and Roy did hit his ass. But I really think Montel sold it well too.
Yeah.
I think he could have got up. I think he would have been okay. Fine. I've seen guys get hit even worse. But the fact of the matter is the official was in his right to DQ him, and he wasn't swayed by star power. Like what was that, Richard Steele, who should have DQ'd Floyd when Roger Mayweather jumped in the ring when they fought Zav Judah.
Yeah.
He allowed them, they had a damn melee. They allowed everybody to clear out of the ring and finish the fight. But as soon as your cheap second gets on the apron, that's supposed to be it. Ain't supposed to be nobody on that apron during the when the bell rings for the roundup to continue. When they say seconds out, all the seconds in your corner got to get the fuck out the ring. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the mere fact that he got on the apron and was allowed to get in the ring and didn't get disqualified, that was some bullshit. So it depends on how you feel about it. It's at the referee's discretion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he did. I do agree with you. He sold it, but he made up for it. Knocked him out in the first round, right? So
and man, in impressive fashion too.
Yeah, I mean that was the Tito Trinidad fight. Back to that really quick, because somebody mentioned it in the chat there, that it did pretty good numbers. I think AJ10. Who's at that? At 175, Chris Sam. I'm not sure what you're referring to. But you ever hear Roy's? Hold on, Boxing Dialogue. There we go. He brought it up. It did like 500,000. That's when they were past their prime. Roy had gotten knocked out, and Trinidad had already lost a couple fights, and he was out for a while. If Trinidad would have beaten Hopkins, and then he would have gone to Roy Jones, right? And they did like a catchweight or whatever. What type of pay-per-view numbers you think that would have? You think it would have been better than?
Hard to predict if it would have done better than De La Hoya. De La Hoya was the star in boxing at that time. And even though Roy was a pay-per-view star, he wasn't doing De La Hoya numbers. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to predict if it would have did those numbers. But then if he would have beaten Hopkins, I think even though Tito was a pay-per-view star, he wasn't on De La Hoya's level either as far as the amount of buys he would do when he fought. But if he would have knocked off Hopkins, I think that would have blew his star through the fucking roof. So it could have went over $1.5 million. You know, hindsight being 2020. You know, knowing more about pay-per-views and stuff now than I did back then. I didn't give a fuck back then about pay-per-views. You know, about the numbers and stuff like that. But yeah, it probably could have beaten the De La Hoya Trinidad numbers. You know.
I think it would have been big, man.
Man, that would have been on Tito by then.
Because, like, here's my thing. In boxing, man, there's like, we all know Mexicans are fight fans, right?
All day.
There's only so many pay-per-view buys you can get from Mexican fans, right?
Right.
There's only so many of us, right? And people don't know that Mexicans, a lot of us, you know, we watch it in big households. So there's only so many buys you're going to get. There's only so many African Americans that are going to buy a fight. You know what I mean? That are fight fans.
Right.
White people that are fight fans, right? There's only so much. But then once you break that barrier, once you go to casual fans, casual sports fans, people that don't even watch sports but they're intrigued,
right.
That's what cracks 1 million plus. You know what I mean? That's what gets that. And I think this fight would have done that. This fight would have been on Sports Illustrated, all over ESPN. It would have been talked about. I guarantee you, the winner of this fight's the best of all time. Shit like that.
Oh yeah.
So I think
the biggest fight in boxing history.
Yeah.
Or what will become the biggest fight in boxing history, which was Pacquiao and Mayweather. The Tito Roy fight would have been billed as such. If he would have beaten Hopkins and then fought Roy, yeah, that would have been billed as the biggest fight in boxing history. Bro.
And Don King would be promoting that shit, bro.
You said Don King? Oh yeah, he had Tito. That's right, he had Tito. Oh yeah, and then Murad Muhammad was co-promoting Roy Jones with Square Ring with his own promotional company.
Yeah,
him and Murad Muhammad. So,
by the way, a lot of things we could say about Don King, but hell of a promoter. He could promote a hell out of that. Dude could sell any fight.
Yeah, he could.
He would make a fight sound so great, like a John Ruiz fight. He would talk about it about like
you can't miss it.
Yeah, you can't miss this fight. Like John Ruiz. And then after the fight, man, that was a boring fight. No, what are you talking about? John Ruiz didn't get knocked out. He was in trouble with a monster puncher. And, great promoter. Another one, I know I keep saying is another one, but the Hopkins rematch. I know we got the rematch, but that I don't know. That was way later.
He was already shot. So
yeah, Roy was shot. It was.
And then here comes Calzaghe. He beats up Roy too.
And,
they all start picking on Roy at that point.
Yeah, that was a day of mourning when he lost that fight. But for me, it was. But even though I saw it coming, but still, I was hoping Roy won that fight. And but anyway, that rematch, man, that one was hot. Like I remember sports talk shows talking about it.
Yeah, I think Hopkins really wanted to get that revenge for his legacy. You know what I'm saying? Of having avenged the loss in his first world title shot. Because remember, 60-40, I'll whoop your ass. The fight should have been taking place, but for whatever reason, it just didn't. You know what I'm saying? Remember they were talking about fighting after the middleweight tournament, and they just never did until late. So,
well, I think that rematch should have happened, man. They had these guys side by side. Was it after a Roy Jones fight or Hopkins fight? I forget.
When they were sharing, when they was double screen.
Yes.
That was after Hopkins versus Carl Daniels, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, or it may have been the guy from France.
Now, Roy at that
I forget
time
his name.
Versus B-Hop, who do you think would have won that fight at that time?
At what weight, though? Because Hopkins was at 60 still.
Let's say they met at a catch weight at 170.
You never know, because when Hopkins went from 60 to 75 and beat the shit out of Antonio Tarver. So he took the 15 pounds of fight weight very well. Remember, he jumped 2 weights and he won that shit. Right. And then he went back down and fought Pavlik. I think you may have to have AJ check that. But that's one of the great things that Hopkins did, man. He defied the odds, bro. So he may have man, that may have been an explosive fight, bro.
I gotta go with Roy.
Yeah, he hadn't shown any vulnerabilities at that point,
Yeah,
so still hard to hit, still
yeah,
super fast. Yeah.
yeah.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Who knows? What do you think? Roy didn't try the cruiserweight championship. Like, I know he wants some trinkets later, but they're not like official trinkets.
Right.
But like he just bypassed cruiserweight. You know, like he didn't even try cruiserweight, tip his toe in the water, and then go fight John. He just went straight to the heavyweight. You know.
Yeah. I would have loved to see him fight Jiro. You know, that would have been an explosive fight. That would have been he would have been a 5 division champion if he would have done that. You know, officially. But I don't know. I probably because the heavyweight there's no money like heavyweight money. You know.
AJ10 found the answer. It says Roy Jones versus Glenn Cali Hopkins versus Carl Williams after that.
What I say? Carl Daniels?
Yeah. It's all right. That's why we got a fact checker
like
on the show.
Yeah, some shit like that.
Chief Funk 84, Roy beats Hopkins, early 2000s, AJ10, February 2002. They fought the same night. Oh, okay. No more, no money at cruiserweights. It was a young division, and cruiserweight's still trying to cruiserweight's like the bastard son of all the divisions or something. You know? It's trying to get some notoriety and shit. You know what? Like people conquer it and they leave, and they're like, I got to go with the big boys now. It always happens, right? Like Hay did it. What's his name? What's the dude's name from Ukraine? Usyk. Usyk just did it. And, Usyk just did it, and Vander Holyfield did it. Like it's just they conquer and then they move up. You know, it's like a
even
stop division.
Spinks. No, he was light heavyweight and then heavyweight. He didn't even fight at cruiserweight, did he? Spinks.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So forget I said that.
Roy Jones fought in Miami. B-Hop fought in Pennsylvania. They'll say, okay, Roy could have had a rematch with James Toney at cruiserweight. Man.
Tony definitely was calling him out. Tony called out Bernard Hopkins too.
You always make fun of his teeth and stuff, right?
Oh man, he used to disrespect Hopkins like it was no. I mean, he really wanted to fight him, but Tony would later say he respected Bernard Hopkins as a great fighter. That's why he wanted to fight him. But I've never heard Hopkins make any mention of fighting James Toney.
Yeah, I don't think he ever. He would praise him a lot. I've heard.
Oh, he give him his credit, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think he ever wanted to fight him, though.
No. Well, one last question for you. More impressive, in your opinion, James Toney beating Evander Holyfield or Roy Jones beating John Ruiz?
Well, I thought the James Toney fight was more entertaining, but I'm going to go with Roy Jones against Ruiz because James Toney would come up to the heavyweight division later on and fight Evander Holyfield after Roy had already been there and fought Ruiz. Yeah. And I think Evander had taken a couple more L's after his last Ruiz fight. So, again, y'all going to have to fact check that. But it doesn't mean he wasn't formidable. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still coming up to the heavyweight division fighting an inexperienced heavyweight. And he went up there and he did it, and he made it look easy. And I think he fought Ruiz, too. Tony. Didn't he fight?
I did fight him, yeah. And then who tested? Was it Toney or Ruiz that tested positive?
Tony. Because they turned it into a no contest or something like that, no decision. It was one of those fights they turned into a no decision. Whether it was either the Holyfield. No, it had to be in the Ruiz fight. Yeah, because that was for a world title, I think.
Yeah.
And he won the world title, and then they took it from him.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, Ash, I do want to thank you for coming on, man. It's a good show. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, man, I'm back active again. You can catch me at Ashy Knuckles Boxing, man. I'll try to be as active as I can. I just did a stream last weekend, and for some reason, YouTube didn't save it, so I didn't even get a chance to upload it. And that was a badass stream, too.
Wow.
but it didn't save, man. I was pretty hot about that. But you
So
can catch me at Ashy Knuckles Boxing.
can you post something in the chat? That way people in the chat can just click on your name and they can go subscribe to you.
All right. Let me try that out.
So while Ashley posts that, guys, make sure you go vote on the poll. And let me check these polls. I'm going to check this right now. Okay. We got the knockout one, but the main one I want you guys to look at right now, look at this. Okay, this is the main poll. Let me get the lighting a little down on it so you can see it. This is the poll right now. Make sure you guys go vote on the poll. And let me make sure. You see, yeah, you guys can see it, right? Go vote. Go to the community page and vote on the polls. We just need about 15 more votes, and we're in. Okay, and we'll have an appreciation week. You got Bernard Hopkins, El Terrible Morales right there, 27%. Miguel Cotto with 25%. Weak Your Right So has a shot. Go vote. Share the link. Okay, it's in the description box. Share that link and participate. Roy Jones Jr. Appreciation Week. This is DStyleBoxing. Were you able to post that, Ashley?
No, it won't let me post a link to my channel. Like I could try posting.
Well, just put like subscribe. People could click on your name, like on your avatar. Yeah. So that way, you know, they'll be able to subscribe right there. Scrapbook Boxing, what's good? D-Style, what's good? With the chat, he says, you know, hey, we're doing great, bro. We're about to wrap it up. You got to always go back, listen, archive. We guys got.
I've been loving this channel, man. I'll be listening to it on the way to work. Sometimes on the way home too.
Absolutely. All right, great channel, underrated channel. Go subscribe to his channel. All right,
definitely.
Unlimited stuff. Okay. So there you go. Subscribe to Ashy Knuckles Boxing. Just click on that fist right there. Bam. It'll take you to his channel. And make sure you guys subscribe. All right. This is DStyleBoxing. Any final thoughts, Ash?
No, man. Y'all be cool. Be safe, man.
All right. Keep it boxing.
Keep it boxing.
I'm out.